Hello guys, thanks very much for watching my videos, The Great Apostate. Hope you're all doing well. Nice relaxing Friday afternoon. I finished work for the day. My son's playing with his Lego. It's all good. And I was driving today in the van. I was sitting down and I was thinking to myself, I enjoy my videos making fun of the Jehovah's Witnesses, having a bit of a laugh about them. And it does good for me, does good for others. People contact me all the time. And more and more people are contacting me from my own country, which is a very weird thing. I like the anonymity of just thinking it's only Americans and Canadians watching me. The odd Australian, all this there. No, it's strange though when I discover that people who are down the road see my videos, and that's weird. But it's gratifying because it helps them too. But I wanted to do something a bit more serious today, and this is a little bit about why people don't leave cults. Okay, uh, we fixate on our own religion, the Jehovah's Witnesses, our own cult. But there's lots of cults in the world. Why don't people all just leave them? Why don't they realize it's all bullshit and go? Why don't you, if you're watching this, why aren't you running from your cult? Or why are you angrily looking at me going, it's not a cult? There's various reasons why, and I'm not prepared to discuss them with you. Why don't you? Well, there's a brilliant article I found here on cults.co.nz on New Zealand. Why don't people leave cults? And I'd like to go through it from my own perspective as a Jehovah's Witness, former, obviously. One of the reasons is deception. Cults teach that the members that the real world is different to how it actually is, making it appear a place that members would not want to be a part of. Also, a cult member might not realize that anything is wrong. That's so true, isn't it? Because I can tell you, I think this is actually the very first one, is one of the biggest points. Because as an ex Jehovah's Witness, I remember when I was in, and even when I was convinced that a lot of it was wrong, that a lot of error had crept in, from the true teachings of the old days, we thought. Even when we were distrustful of a lot of it, still, the final question before you become an apostate is, where else are you going to go to? Do you want to go to the world? It's terrible. And as I've said before, my brother, who was never particularly devout Jehovah's Witness, when I first started, talking about apostate literature that I'd read, his first reply to me was, "Oh, Neil, Satan's setting a trap for you." So that's a really this deception that the world's different than it actually is. It's not, guys. The world that you're being taught about, these evil people looking to get you, it's not true. Most people have good natures and want the best for you. Move on to the next one. Exclusivism. Cults teach their members that only the cult offers salvation or the truth. Leaving the cult is the same as leaving God, and no relationship with God will ever be possible if they leave. Does that ring any bell, Jehovah's Witnesses? Does that ring any bell? And then when they say cults teach this, all cults teach this, not just yours, okay? Scientologists, Mormons, Moonies, they're all the same. Branch Davidians, Jim Jones, all these people teach the same things, okay? In fact, we called it the truth, okay? Others call their religion the way, the path, if you're a Scientologist. It's revolving bullshit, okay? And you're all falling for the same thing. I called it the truth, and even now, I've occasionally done it. I've occasionally still used the words fear, guilt, intimidation. The leadership knows all the wrongdoing of the member and the threat of having it all revealed. Emotional blackmail is used to scare the member into staying. Now, from my own perspective, there's some truth to that. Not quite as much as say in Scientology, where they actually have you overtly write out the stuff you've done, and they've got records and records. But the Jehovah's Witnesses do have records of your sins. I've never been told that was used as a punishment for people leaving. Certainly, the details of people's crimes has got out though. But it's very true. There's this intimidation, this guilt if you leave us. Oh, we need people. How can you abandon Jehovah? This is a good one coming up now. Information control. If a cult dictates what its members are allowed to read and what they can listen to on radio and watch on TV, members will not know what the outside world is like. That can make it a very scary prospect stepping out from the cult. The cult may also present its members with a false view of the outside world, which is really, again, the one we talked about earlier, isn't it? Excuse me. Perhaps one in which everyone is so sinful that leaving members wouldn't last a week without being killed or worse. Well, that's so true. I can tell you that when I left, I find it very difficult. I still find it difficult with ordinary people that aren't cult members because they don't have the same experience as me. I'm going to church. Oh my goodness! I thought I was walking into the lion's den there. I don't go for completely other reasons now. Uh, love bombing, conditional love. After a honeymoon period where a new member suddenly has all the love they can cope with, known as love bombing, love is turned on and off to control members. Members have their needs for love and acceptance met only when they are complying with the cult's requirements. This is a strong disincentive to do anything wrong, such as think about leaving. This is so true. And I would say the love bombing is actually not, in some religions, like the children of the god, I believe they were called. They're now just known as the family, who were a paedophile cult set up in America. They had specific love bombing and flirty fishing, which is what they called it. They got pretty girls to try bring in young men. Um, from my own cult, the Jehovah's Witnesses, love bombing wasn't something that you were specifically ordered to do. It was just that it was like, hey, there's a new person. I'm so sick of talking to all these people. I'm going to talk to a new person. And it was great to have a new companion, and especially if it came in, it was somebody your age. I mean, we had a guy called Stephen McKinley who moved in, who became a witness in my hall, and my brother and I were good friends with him. And of course, when we left, the conditional love came apart because now he was a witness. Good friendship is now over, which is very sad. But it's very true. Relationship control and shunning. Cults try to control all the personal relationships with their members. Eventually, the member will not have any close friends outside of the cult. Bingo! That's why Jehovah's Witnesses, you're taught not to have any friends in school, or go to any classes, or join any sports associations. Often, their entire family will also be in the cult. Certainly was true with me. It takes a huge amount of courage to leave friends and family behind, since members who leave are shunned by the cult. Shunning is when present members are forbidden to talk to even their own family. Over the years a person spends within a cult, their business might become completely dependent on other cult members, possibly because the cult leadership has told them that they are not allowed to have other customers. If they were to leave, both they and their business would be shunned. No more customers. Well, that's so true as well. I remember when I announced that I was leaving the Witnesses officially, I actually had to go round, and I had several Jehovah's Witness customers, and I had to actually speak to them in advance to gauge the feeling of what was going to happen to me. And as it happened, they kept doing business with me, and one of them still is, although he has subsequently left the Jehovah's Witnesses too. But I think the point about relationship control is a huge point. Shunning is just a terrible thing, and this is the point that I would make to religious people who claim to be religious, Christians like the Jehovah's Witnesses, Mormons, people like that. How can something be godly? Can something be spiritual if completely non-religious organized cults are also doing it? If the Moonies and the Scientologists are also doing the same thing, how can it be acceptable that they're doing that? That you're doing it too. It seems very strange that they're picking up on such wonderful Christian spirituality. Here's a good one: reporting, structure, and thought policing. If members know that they will be punished for saying or doing anything against the cult, especially if they think the punishment is justified, for example, if guilt is also used, they will be more and more reluctant to say or do anything that could possibly appear disloyal. They will eventually block out any anti-witness thoughts, or as they have them. This is known as thought policing. It's quite bizarre watching this happen, and very sad too. Well, that's so true. I could be there. I've seen it happen. We all know that you can have those conversations about things you don't agree with when you're a Jehovah's Witness. Oh, I don't agree with birthdays, and then everyone just gets silent because we all know there's other things we don't agree with too, and we just can't talk about that, unfortunately. The other thing, of course, is reporting on yourself, reporting on friends, because you've heard them say something or you've said something yourself. No, I'm nearly done, son. Just give us 2 more minutes, okay? No, Daniel, please.
Oh, so we're here.
Oh, sorry for the delay there. We were talking about reporting, the structure and thought policing. So, as I said a second ago, the idea that you could report on yourself and that you could police your own thoughts so that you didn't think about things, you didn't talk about certain things around other people because you were so terrified of the thought even gaining traction in your head. It's a very strong one, and it happens all the time. And finally, the last one, time control. Some cults deliberately keep their members so busy that they don't have time to consider their involvement. The members are too busy and possibly too tired to figure out that the cult is bad. Some extreme cults also control food, which also prevents the member from thinking clearly. Now, I have no experience from controlling my food, obviously, if you look at me. But what I would say is from my experience as a Jehovah's Witness, I did a little video about 8 months ago about the amount of time as a Jehovah's Witness that was spent in Jehovah's Witness activities. And I can tell you now that it was in the region of 812 hours a year. And that was for me, that was back when I was a kid, a non-pioneer. 812 hours a year of your life was spent being a Jehovah's Witness. And I don't think it's any less now. And the point of that is, when I made that video, is you could literally, I think, have learned to fly a plane, and in 18 months you have gained your commercial pilot's license. You could have you could be studying for a degree and have something like 6 hours a week, study time. It was crazy. The amount of things that you could do. You could learn to drive 35 times. It never ends. The time control is a big issue with Jehovah's Witnesses. And it's something I would ask Jehovah's Witnesses, if you've got this far and watched this video, why do you have all this in common with non-Jehovah's Witnesses? Why do they all mesh with cults if you're not one? Why have you got so many similarities? Guys, thanks very much for watching this video. I hope it helps, and I hope you like and subscribe. So, take care. Bye-bye.